Welcome to another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Monday, January 23rd. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack ready to break down the Monday college basketball slate. We're only a little over a month away from the end of the regular season. Crazy as it is to say, it's going to be March and just like I say, a little over a month. And conference tournaments and NCAA tournament month will be here. I mean, it's crazy how quickly things just fly by. And here we are again, college basketball. We're getting to the most important part of the season, essentially. So lots to be excited about. We got a Monday slate, a very small one, but we'll break down all the main board games. We'll do Q&A on the added board, best bets, and we'll get out of here. So we'll start with Oakland and Detroit in this Horizon League matchup. Detroit, 4-point home favorites, 155 is the total. In this game. So it's a very high total across the board. You look at this Detroit squad, they had been struggling in conference play. Their only conference win was against Green Bay, who are pretty bad. And other than that, they were losing pretty much to every other team. But they've kind of gotten their game back together, back-to-back victories against Robert Morris and IUPUI. Again, not two of the better teams, you would say, but definitely starting to play a little bit better is Detroit. Oakland, on the other hand, they've won 6 of their last 7, and it's been a nice run here for the Oakland Golden Grizzlies under the veteran head coach Greg Kampe, who's been here for a very long time. They escaped with an overtime win against IUPUI in their last game on Friday night. We'll see if they can carry their, I think it was Thursday rather. We'll see if they can build on that. They, like I said, have won 6 of their last 7. Their defensive plays picked up a little bit as of late. Oakland, we always knew they were capable of shooting and scoring the basketball, but definitely defensive numbers. If you actually look at Oakland's overall defensive numbers, they're still hideous. But if you actually look at the defensive numbers in conference play only and splice those out, it's been a lot better for Oakland. That being said, I would still lean a little bit to the over. This has been an over series history. It is a high number, but Detroit has been flying over the total. I think 6 straight Detroit games have gone over the total. They're going to look to push pace, no question about that. Like I said, Oakland, Detroit head-to-head's kind of gone over the total as well. So I like the over. I like the road dog here a little bit. I understand why the number's coming down a little bit. You look at Oakland here away from home in recent games. Wright State, an outright win as dogs. Northern Kentucky, an outright win as underdogs. Road dog has been the role for this Oakland Golden Grizzlies team. It wouldn't shock me to see it be the role for them here tonight as well. So Oakland taking the money, I agree, and over the total, I like that as well. So side and total, bets on both for me in this game. What do you think, Connor? Oakland, Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit, I just can't lay points with a team like that. So, I mean, to me, side-wise, it'd be Oakland or nothing. Shout out to our guy, Craig Wood. I think it was just because of the Oakland unders. That's why it took a little dip, but it's moved right back up, the total. What he's talking about last night. Just Oakland in conference play has been better and played to a bunch of unders. But other than that, go off their season stats, both these teams all in the 300s and everything. And all I know is a Detroit game, they've had a few unders, of course, sprinkled in there. They usually get to 160. So for me, too, this is just, even at 154, I lean over. I mean, I don't think I bet it, but that's just where I'd look. Could it say under? Series of history, like you mentioned, is good. So, yeah, I'd only be on the over here.
All right, good stuff. I just realized I had a game slated before this one. Let's talk about it now. It's a write-in game. That's what threw me off. Yeah, this is a rescheduled game. Wisconsin and Northwestern.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In this one, we've got Northwestern, 2.5-point home favorites, 123.5 the total. So we know Northwestern's been out of commission for a while. They have been bombarded by, that thing called COVID? Apparently, it still exists.
Still around, huh?
Yeah, it's still around in some spots, and Northwestern got hit pretty hard with it to the point where, look, they haven't played since last Sunday at Michigan, and then they've had to cancel a couple of games now in a row because of COVID-19 protocol among the Wildcats. And if you look at this matchup here, they haven't released the full player, roster for the game tonight, but there's questions about who's going to suit up. Now, we haven't been disclosed any information because, again, COVID protocol is part of that. So we really won't know until opening tip who's in and who's out for Northwestern. So that right away tells me there's no way I'm laying points with Northwestern in this situation. They haven't played in a week. They've been battling COVID. We don't even fucking know who's going to play for the Wildcats. So there's no way I'm laying points with a team in that spot. Now, the question is, can you bet Wisconsin? And Wisconsin is off a win that snapped a 3-game losing streak in their last game against Penn State, 63-60. We'll see if they can carry that success over here to this game. They have been brutal against the number. 7 straight failures to cover for the Badgers going into this game. But they have owned Northwestern. They have won, if you go back, 7 straight wins over Northwestern and 6-0-1 against the spread versus Northwestern in those games. So I like Wisconsin here, plus 2.5 in this game. I am going to go ahead and bet that. And by the way, if Northwestern is missing a couple of their key players, we won't know that till this game starts. But if they are, this number is going to probably go closer to pick them by tip-off. So it doesn't hurt. I like Wisconsin even if Northwestern's got all their players at their disposal tonight. I still like Wisconsin plus 2.5. But even more a better bet this could be if Northwestern is a bit shorthanded tonight. And again, we'll know that close to tip-off. What do you think here, Connor? Wisconsin, Northwestern.
Yeah, I don't know Northwestern laying points. Wisconsin just has owned them. There's a few teams we'll get to on probably is the next or the next one. Not only losing, not covering the number. You mentioned Wisconsin at least got the win. I just think they're the better team here. I know Northwestern could maybe get hot shooting, but they don't. That don't always happen for them in this one. And you mentioned all the things up in the air. There's just no way I could look to Northwestern. To me, this is your Wisconsin or nothing.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, next up.
Shout out to Jefferson C. We got to hit up our newest member,
Yes.
my man. Shout out to him. Thanks, my guy.
Jefferson C. and also Grape Juice. Let's not
Grape
forget
Juice.
him, too. Grape Juice, the first one that signed up. $4.99 a month. We're not asking for too much here. It's just $4.99 a month. It's the Pub Club, the Pub Sports Radio YouTube membership. Get on that. And if you want more great things to build this community moving forward, cash giveaways, contests, Pubapalooza events, all that stuff, signing up as a member helps that. So definitely a YouTube member, no doubt. Duke and Virginia Tech now. ACC, how about a rare Monday night ACC? There actually usually is a ACC game on Monday night for television. Virginia Tech, 2-point home favorites, 137 the total in this game. I'm on Virginia Tech here, Connor. I'm not going to overthink it. Duke can't do shit on the road. They really can't. It's been an issue for them. They're 0-4 against the number on the road, all in ACC play. I mean, their only road win was against Boston College by 1 point. So that tells you all you need to know. They lost at Wake, failed to cover, lost at NC State, failed to cover, lost at Clemson, failed to cover. I mean, I just don't like this Duke team away from home. Simple as that. Now, Virginia Tech's had their issues. I mean, you're talking about you're going to back Virginia Tech and lay 2, or in this case, I'm taking them on the money line, minus 135. But if you're going to do that, you're going to trust a team that's lost 7 straight games, failed to cover in 7 straight games. But if anything's going to get them out of their funk, I think it's a home matchup against Duke, a Duke team that they beat at home last year, by the way, 74-67 here in Blacksburg, Virginia. So I think Virginia Tech is the side here. I really do. Even though they've been struggling, I think the Virginia Tech Hokies have what it takes to get the job done here. The one thing about Virginia Tech that's really hindered them during the losing streak is the offense has really hurt a little bit. Even the defense kind of fell apart in a couple of those games. But you look at 4 of the last 5 losses for Virginia Tech haven't eclipsed 70 points. You're going to be in trouble when you do that. But at the same time, you look at Duke on the road, their offense has been shabby. 60, 65, 64. That's what they put up in the last 3 road games. So I think the under might actually be the way to go in this game. But I like the side Virginia Tech here, minus 135. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think it's, even though this team's lost 7 in a row, I mean, this is it right now. This would be bad because this Duke team, the only reason I can't get on Duke, they just can't play on the road. They're just a team. We were on Miami, even at home. Miami was right with them. That game was just basically a 2-point game the whole way, just back and forth. They're a little bit slower. You're right. This totals move up, though, a couple points, which is, from the opener from 135 to 137.5. And Virginia Tech just played that 51-50 where they lost to Clemson. I'm going to stay off the total. I got missed. It's going up and down. But I'm with you here. I think this is like do or die here for Virginia Tech at home.
Slam dunk spot. It's at home. And, yeah, they've been struggling. But I like the idea of taking them here at home with that coach too, Mike Young.
They're due
You know,
for a shooting night too.
they are.
Like they,
Especially with
it's
Couture
like
back. They just got him
I
back
know.
too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to eventually happen for Virginia Tech. Like, they've got some. They were not supposed to be this porous offensively with what they've got at their disposal with Padula, with Mutz, Justin Mutz, and who's been inconsistent for them. Couture back from injury. And he's really struggled to score in a couple of the games recently. He had 6 points and 2 of 8 shooting for Virginia Tech in the loss at Clemson over the weekend. So I think he's just got to get back his rhythm and his form again. Sometimes it takes a game or two when you've been out for a while. So maybe being back home and another game under his belt will help that going into this matchup here tonight. All right, next up, we continue along. Chicago State and Coastal Carolina. You know it's a short card when we have Chicago State and Coastal Carolina in our list of marquee games. Coastal Carolina, 8-point home favorites here. 143 is the total in this matchup. Chicago State, 0-16 straight up on the road. So, yeah, you're not seeing things. This team has not won on the road this year, Chicago State. But you know what they have done on the road this year? They've covered a lot of point spreads. And that's been the beauty of Chicago State. They're actually 8-8 against the spread on the road, even though they're winless away from home. And it tells you that they're getting a lot of points. They hang in there. They're competitive. You know, they played Rio Grande Valley, 6-point dogs in their last road game. They lost by 3 in that one. They did fall short, 73-63, 9.5-point dogs against Tarleton State. And very unfortunate if you had Chicago State because you lost by the hook there in that one. Ohio, they fell short. Ohio's a pretty solid team. Ball State, they covered, lost by 7. At Minnesota, they were 11.5-point dogs. They lost by 3. They've been better more often than not, you know, as underdogs. And you look at Coastal Carolina, favorites, they have not been very much. The last time they were favored, they lost outright against Georgia Southern, New Year's Eve. They were 4-point favorites, 73-64. You look at Chicago State, defensively, there's still some struggles there. I get it, no question. And Coastal Carolina can light it up a little bit offensively. Chicago State, meanwhile, offensively, has kind of picked their game up a little bit in recent games. We'll see if they can carry that over here. I just feel it's a few too many points. Both teams are trending over, believe it or not, right now, Chicago State and Coastal Carolina. This total, 145 down to 143. Chicago State's definitely not going to want to run and gun. Coastal will, but I still lean over it. But then I don't know if I fully am on board with this total going down.
Yeah.
But the bet I like the most is Chicago State. I mean, I've been able to pick my spots with them as road underdogs. I think this is a good spot to jump in again with Chicago State plus the 8. What do you think here, Connor?
Yeah, it's kind of hard too. I mean, when all you do is play road games, so this team's not gonna catch any breaks. The total, the only thing that'll stay under, I think, is Chicago State's pace and wanting to just grind it, because that's how they do get these covers. They just want to slow it down, hold the ball, throw it around. Because you're right, Coastal's just been up and down, dead over team. So if that happens, I think they can be in it. This just seems they've been, good to me all year. I probably like 7-2 with them or something like that. This just seems like this would have been 12 a couple weeks ago. Now it's 8. I lean Chicago State. I don't know if I get there tonight.
All right. Next up here, we've got North Dakota, Western Illinois in Summit League action here. Western Illinois, 6-point home favorites, 139.5 the total in this game. You look at this matchup here, Western Illinois for, a long time has been one of those, they just try to outscore teams, score as much as they can, don't play much defense, run up and down the court. It's been a lot of the way they've played over the years. Their offense, though, is really stuck here the last 3 games, 63, 60, and 60 in their last 3 games. North Dakota, on the other side, their defensive game has been hurt the last two of the last 3. Denver, Oral Roberts putting up big numbers and points and percentages, shooting the ball against this North Dakota team. We'll see if that keeps going here. I could see it going over. I could also see it going under, though, because, again, Western Illinois, for all the pace they play at, they're just missing way too many shots. And as a result, their offensive efficiency hasn't been as good the last few games. And last year, 2 meetings, and 141 and 138 were the points scored. So, both of them right below this number pretty much. Well, 141 would have gotten you over this total, but the other matchup wouldn't have. So, this is a tricky game all around. I'm passing. This is the one game on the main board where I really don't even have a lean. What do you think here, Conor? North Dakota, Western Illinois.
This is tricky, but my two leans in this game, I didn't want to give up. I only be on the under. I think it is a tad bit too high, and because that goes with North Dakota and the points. I think they need to slow this down, keep this game under in the 60s to be in it. And yeah, West Illinois playing better, but no way. I don't want to lay 6 with them. Not right now. No.
All right, this is probably the game of the night now. Next up, this will be on television, featured matchup, Kansas and Baylor for Big Monday. We've got Baylor 2-point home favorites. 149 is the total in this game. If you watch the college basketball pub hub on Saturday, me, Conor, and Cab, I mean, my goodness, I won't have a better best bet all year. I will not have a better best bet.
They had everything. It's beautiful.
I mean,
they were red hot.
Yeah.
Everything went in.
Everything went in. Defense didn't even have to be great because they were just, scorching the basket, at the other end. But the defense was good. They held Kansas on their home floor to 60 points. I mean, when I said TCU best bet plus 7.5 on Saturday, I said I think they'll just compete. It'll be a close game down to the wire. Maybe have a chance to win. I did not see a wire-to-wire beatdown in Fog Allen by that TCU Horned Frogs team over Kansas, but they did. And credit to them. Now, where does that leave Kansas now for this game tonight? Because now you got to go travel on the road, second game in 3 days, go on the road to Waco. Clearly, this team should show up after a beatdown like that. And now that's actually 2 straight losses for the Jayhawks, going back to when they lost in overtime in the Sunflower State showdown against Kansas State last week. They're now 0-4 ATS, Kansas as well. So all of a sudden, for their backers, they've not exactly gotten the job done. And don't look now, Baylor's kind of a ride-it team for me. I've cashed a couple times now with Baylor since they've started to turn things around, including Oklahoma on Saturday. I cashed a ticket with Baylor. I said money line. I'm going to take Baylor in that game to win on the road at Oklahoma. They got the job done in that game. I don't want to step in front of Baylor right now. They're starting to play better, but at the same time, Kansas has to show up here. I mean, that was a disaster. That was a complete debacle for them. One of the worst losses they've suffered in a long time. You would expect Bill Self's team to be ready to go.
Yeah.
I think it's a great game. I think it's a fun game to watch. I think it's a very tough game to bet from a side perspective, at least. So maybe total, you do something with it, but certainly from a side, I won't be betting this game. Totals wise, I mean, Kansas, you got to look at it 2 ways. They've got to shoot the ball better. So do you look over? But they also want to play a lot better defense. No question about that. So do you look under? That is the big question. I'll say this with Kansas and Baylor. They did have a game that got to 150 last year here at Baylor, and it went over the total. But they also had the game at Kansas went under. The year before that, you saw 71-58 Kansas. You did see another over at Baylor 2 years ago, but that total was only 140.5, and that game got to 146. This total is 149. So a 146 final score ain't going to get you over the total. So the total's tough for me as well. So I wish I could say more than that, but I think it's a tricky game, side and total. I still lean Baylor because I think they're a bye team right now, and Kansas is scuffling. Maybe it's not just it's a spot for Kansas to bounce back. They're going to bounce back. No, maybe it's not, because now they've lost 2 in a row. They failed to cover in 4 in a row. They've hit a little rough patch. Maybe it's not just snap their fingers tonight and they bounce right out of it. What do you think here, C-Mac?
Maybe not. Yeah, the total real quick. I just think this is pretty sharp here. You think Baylor till last game, gritty win, but that's what Oklahoma does, is 62-60. But other than that, they've been a pretty good over team. Same thing with Kansas wants to get up and down. Shots drop. I think it can get over, but it's not a bargain at the number there. Look at these stats. After Kansas, it's just in Waco, the spot here, because after they get their ass whipped, they seem to bounce back, even in a road game. And I'm tempted with Kansas here. I just don't know if I get to it in. I think they play a lot better basketball, but can they go, into Waco and win? I'm leaning that way, actually.
All right, there you go, leaning toward them in this one. Kansas, that is, right?
Yep.
All right, there you go. Conor Mack leaning Kansas. I mean, Kansas got to show you something after that debacle against TCU. We'll see if they can step
I'm big
up
on
here.
Baylor, and they scuffled. They've been red hot. I just, I think you just watch this one. I mean, unless you're really, really like something here.
You really want to get a bet in on this
Yeah.
game, which is, look, and sometimes,
Maybe live bet it. Wait
Yeah.
for the run, see how,
Yeah.
what's going on with this, in this game.
I think it's going to be a back and forth competitive game. I think you try to get plus money on both sides. I think it's that kind of game, and that's what a lot of sharp bettors will do that with live betting strategy. They just try to get plus money on the money line on both sides. You might be able to do that because I could see Kansas going on a run, being up by 8, Baylor going on a run, being up by 6 or 8, something like that. And you'd be able to get plus price money line both sides. Not a bad strategy there. All right, final game for the marquee games. New Mexico, Nevada, Mountain West. We've got Nevada 3.5-point home favorites, 149.5 being the total in this game. We've talked about the onslaught of overs really in this conference, and it's hard to look anything but over in this game. It really is. Nevada has been an over machine, 7-1 in their last 8 games to the over. Including, of course, the last game barely squeaked over, 77-62. Their offense got shut down, but Boise did enough offensively to get that game over the total. You look at the home games, Utah State 155, Colorado State 149 in terms of points. New Mexico is an excellent offensive team. They've shown that much of the season. The last 5 games, New Mexico hasn't scored fewer than 76 points. In those games last year between these 2 teams, we saw 158, 149, and 151 in terms of total points. So, I think it's just and the bettors were onto this. The betting markets were clearly seeing the same thing that we have and that we've been talking about with these Mountain West games going over, because this opened as low as 147, and now the total at 140. Actually, you know what? Bet Online. Holy shit. Is that
That's
true?
the only one. Yeah. I mean, I see
148.5 there. Oh, that's a great number, because I think this is going to be one of those games where it's not going to fly over the total. I could see it landing 149, 150, 151, because that's about the range we saw last year when these teams met. Like, I still like the over, but man, if you can get 148.5 instead of the 149.5s and 150s, it's worth it to try to get it at that Bet Online location there. But I do like over. It's hard not to. I mean, there's both teams trending that way. Nevada rolling to the over at home and over in general. And then, of course, last year, most of the games head-to-head got over this number. So that's what I'm looking at, over. I think Nevada is probably the side. I mean, at home, New Mexico going on the road hasn't always been the same team, but although they did beat San Diego State away from home, Nevada's been pretty good at home. I just don't want to lay 3.5 because, you get down to 1 or 2 as home favorites. I'm interested. 3.5, not so much. So I'm just going to stick to the total here. What do you think, Conor? Lobos, Wolfpack?
I grabbed it at 2. It's moved to 3.5. I still think they win. They've been good. New Mexico, pretty good last year. Maybe this is one of their better teams, but Nevada at home, 9-1, I think, this year, or 10-1. They've been really good. Blackshear, Lucas, Baker. I like them. Good home court. I loved it at 2. 3.5. It's reaching out there. Good free throw team, though, looking through that. So especially if it's a little tight to cover the number here. And I think I'm off the total. It's moved up. I leaned over. It's already moved 3 points. Like you said, if you can find Bet Online, they're at 148.5. But I'm going to stay off the total. So just Nevada here.
All right, good stuff. That is the main card. We'll do the added extra board all in one segment in terms of games we like that we haven't talked about, and/or if you got any Q&As of the games we don't mention, you can throw them at us quickly. But Conor, of the added extra board games, anything you like? Oh, you're muted.
I just had it on there. Hold on. Go ahead. You go.
Oh, yeah, I'll go first. Okay, excellent. Added board for tonight. I like Colgate Boston. I like my Colgate games over the total a lot. I'm going in that direction with them against Boston University. The total there, 143. Keep in mind last year, it was 77-71 Colgate. They got the win, and 148 in terms of points scored in that game. So I like that over in that Colgate Boston game. I like Delaware State a little bit, plus 7.5 against South Carolina State. Delaware State usually in MEAC play, they're scrappy underdog. I remember down the stretch in conference play last year. That's a team that I was cashing some tickets with as a dog. I think I'd look in that direction there as well. Norfolk State's taken money, I agree, but now it's up to 5.5 in that game against Morgan State, so it's getting a little pricey. Coppin State, Howard, the over makes a ton of sense there. Howard should score a shit ton on that Coppin State defense. The thing with Coppin is, and it gets you in trouble with their overs sometimes, is they go up and down, up and down, up and down, and more than half their possessions end in a missed shot or a turnover. So it's empty possessions. It's nice to have the pace, but when you go up and down, you don't convert baskets enough, you could still stay under the total. But I still like that game in terms of over 155.5 there with Coppin State and Howard. And what else in terms of the? I think there's one more. I'm looking kind of at Florida A&M plus 11.5 at Jackson State as well. I just think a few too many points there for JSU to be laying in that game, and that's it. So there you go. That's my added extra board looks. What do you think here, Connor? Anything on the added board that you like?
The Howard game, I think even that high, I think it gets over right at 154, 155. I like Colgate. It's moved a little bit there, so I just leave it as a lean, and I'm off the rest. That's it.
All right, there we go. That's it. All right, so there we go. That's about it. All right, great stuff. Thanks to everyone in the chat joining us on a Monday. 160 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate. Yeah, Nunya, you're hitting on the same damn point that I just made. The one concern is Coppin goes up and down, up and down. They play as fast as anybody. Like they're top 20 in the country in tempo, but man, they have lots of missed shots, a lot of turnovers, and they get nothing out of the possessions half the time. So that's the issue for me right there. Because you look at it and there's definitely been some concerns about efficiency at times with Coppin State, but still like the over because I think Howard will score a bunch on that Coppin team, and we just need something out of Coppin to help get that game over the total. All right, we got best bets coming up to wrap things up right after we hear from Manscaped and Southtown 101. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, and manscaped.com. Promo code PubSports, 20% off and free shipping for anything at manscaped.com. Promo code PubSports. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Monday edition of the show. I mean, best bets have been rolling, whether it's been net profit Monday to Friday with Conor and I, whether it was been Pub Hub on Saturdays. I know Dabby Cab had a great Saturday with his best bets. I had TCU, can't get any better than that for a best bet call. Connor's best bets have been going good as well. So it's been a nice run. Let's see how we add to it tonight. Connor Mack, best bet. What do you like?
Yeah, Saturday was good. I hit the first 8 bets. It was Nevada, but I don't love the 3.5. I can't give that out, even though I still think it's good. Virginia Tech, -2. They get to Duke. Finally get it done.
All right, there you go. Best bets for C-Mac here on this Monday card. Best bet for me, this is a tough one because there's a lot that I think was best bet worthy. And in the end, let's see here. I'm going to go with that Oakland Detroit. Oakland Detroit over 154.5. I like that total. I almost went with Wisconsin, but I'm going to park Wisconsin and again go with Oakland Detroit over 154.5. I think we get up and over that number between those two teams. Golden Grizzlies, Detroit Mercy, over 154.5. There you go. Horizon League, high scoring affair, I think, tonight in that one. Oakland Detroit over for my best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Tomorrow, it'll probably be a longer show because we've got a bigger card tomorrow. A lot of good big power conference games, high major. I think it's funny. They call it power conference in college football, but the term they use on television for college basketball, the bigger conferences, is high major. because they use the mid-major term for the lower conferences. But anyway, high major, power conference, whatever you want to call it. A lot of games involving the big boys tomorrow on the Tuesday slate. So we'll break those down. Looking forward to it. Hit the like button on the way out. For Conor, Mac, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will talk to you again tomorrow on Tuesday for another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show. Yeah, Norfolk State, Morgan State. I am neutral on the total there, but I agree. I like Norfolk State. I liked it more at 3.5, but I still lean road favorite there. John Lee asking about that game. So there you go. All right, that's a wrap. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games. Good luck. We'll see you again tomorrow on Tuesday. Once again, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for another edition of the College Basketball Net Profit Show right here on Pub Sports Radio.